Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, has developed a cutting-edge technology to help cut fabric wastage for garment manufacturers. Please put your hands together for Manasij Ganguly, co-founder ThreadSoul.
I think I'm the only person here who has a denim and a t-shirt like this. But that's okay, you know. That unites us. The fact that you wear a garment and I wear a garment, that is the only thing uniting us. I mean, I don't know any of you right now. You may have different mobile phone brands, you have different cars, you like different food, but you know what? I don't see a single naked person here. And as long as that's going to happen, till the time we're going to be in the business, right? It's a $1 trillion industry, ladies and gentlemen, which is crying out loud for your attention, right? Whilst all our attention is towards, e-commerce and, internet businesses, there are businesses out there which are manufacturing on a regular basis, and they require innovation and they require your attention. Well, we heard that. Good for us. We heard that. And we tried to build something which is absolutely necessary for this manufacturing to survive and do better. In fact, their entire costs we can reduce by more than 10%. That's a lot of money. I mean, just think about a typical garment manufacturer which is doing a $100 million business. Their majorly 70% of their cost is the fabric cost, which we can reduce by 10%. So huge profits for these manufacturers. And that's the reason we've been able to become profitable from the first quarter of our business. By the way, we did not reach there. We did not reach there without being almost killed. We had 28 days of money in the bank, and your hands would start to shake, right? When we came back from that side. It's like people who come back from the dead and talk to you about their experiences, right? That's exactly what we do. Today, we plan 2 million garments every day in 70 manufacturing facilities around the world in 12 locations with a team of 60 people. All right? And it's just been 18 months we have done that. And all those people who talk about entrepreneurship is about raising big bucks and, big money and stuff. No, it's about steely resolve that you will do it. That's pretty much it, actually. So what we have done is we have reached here in which we are now working in 12 countries. The internal mandate is to reach 40 countries in the next 3 years. It's not a morning walk, right? We got to move fast. And before I conclude, let me just quickly point out 2 important numbers. Today we plan $1.5 billion of garments through our platform every year. That is a very teeny-meeny 0.1% of the entire world garment production. And let me finish this entire monologue of mine with a prediction here. By 2020, whatever you wear would be planned by us. Whichever car you will drive, that car seat will be planned by us. Whichever bed sheet you sleep on in your home, on your hotels, would be planned by us. We will be the #1 garment tech company in next 5 years, sir. And gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Manasij. Make in India needs to be dovetailed with design and build in India. And to discuss just this, let me invite our first panel. Please welcome back on stage Shireen Bhan, the moderator for the session, Design Thinking in Manufacturing. Our panelists, Arvind Lakshmikumar of Tonbo Imaging, Manasij Ganguly once again from ThreadSoul, and Shashikant Suryanarayanan of Sedimac, an IIT Bombay startup that's building products to help auto engines go green. You've already heard from Arvind and you've heard from Manasij. I'm going to start then with Shashikant Suryanarayanan. He's the founder of Sedimac. He also happens to be a professor at IIT Bombay. So before I kickstart this panel discussion, let me give Shashi a chance to give you a sense of what exactly they're up to. They want to be the Bosch of the two-wheeler industry. And that's a big, you just had Manasij talk about his 5-year goal. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, they're up against the big boys, not just domestic players, but global manufacturers, and that is a tall ask for them. So Shashi, you want to take us through that?
Sedimac is a company which builds powertrain controls. Now, what is that? It's Greek and Latin to most people. So powertrain refers to anything in between the point of production of power in a vehicle or a generator or in a construction equipment vehicle to its consumption. So that's the powertrain, so you have the engine, transmission, etc. And powertrains need to be controlled. The flow of power, how much fuel you're consuming, when you're putting in whatever you're putting in, how much emissions come out, etc. is all about powertrain controls. So this company builds powertrain controllers. Okay, it came out of my lab in IIT Bombay. When I first joined there as a professor, I had no intent of being an entrepreneur. But one thing led to the other, and here we are with a powertrain controls company that's doing quite well. Amongst the things that we've been able to manage to do is that one of our first products is now running on about 4 million vehicles in India, has clocked about 25 billion kilometers in cumulative. Over the course of its lifetime, that product will be on probably 20 to 25 million vehicles here in India, saving about 1 billion kilograms of carbon dioxide. That's already on its way. We don't have to do anything more with regard to that happening.
All right, gentlemen. So these are all examples here of entrepreneurs who are creating, who are designing and developing and manufacturing in India. But Arvind Lakshmikumar, let me start by asking you, while you've created in India, how easy or difficult was it to sell in India?
So actually, like with a lot of things which, I mean, like what most traditional Indian customer likes is buying from outside as opposed to buying from India, right? And our first sale in India actually happened because we sold internationally. So
it was by accident?
It was by accident. I mean, so we had a few Indian armed forces. We built for the armed forces, largely military systems. So I used to work with the US military many years back, and I had good relationships there. And we said, well, you know, we are building these systems, and they said they'd be willing to try it out. So US Special Forces were experimenting with some of our systems. And we had some of the Indian Armed Forces guys who happened to visit the US. They'd gone to West Point and they'd gone to SOCOM. And they saw some of this equipment. And those guys told them, well, by the way, this comes from India. It comes from Bangalore. And they said, oh, by the way, you guys make all this stuff? You make night vision in India? I said, yeah, we do make night vision in India. And we're trying to sell it to you. And that's when they started buying. And so it was actually...
It was easier to sell to the US Army than it was to sell to the Indian government?
At least initially, yes, absolutely. So we sold to at least 5 countries before we sold to India first.
You sold to 5 countries before you sold to the Indian government. Mr. Kant, you want to respond to that? They sold to 5, including the US Army, they sold to 5 countries before they actually sold to the Indian government, sir. It's changing and changing radically. That's good to hear. Manasej, let me ask you as well. Were you taken seriously? Because you're not just addressing the Indian market, you're also developed a product that addresses a global need, and you're taking on the global players as well. What was the experience like for you when you were selling to customers outside of India versus customers in India?
A very interesting difference, actually. Same experiences, by the way, like yours. I followed what Saurav Ganguly did, by the way. Like, score a century in Lords, people will come back and take notice of you. Right? So, and by the way, score 2 centuries, just to be ensured, you know, like first was not a fluke.
So it's not a one-trick pony.
Exactly. So our experience selling internationally has been spectacular. And my experience selling in India has been equally, right? For the simple reasons that, like what Arvind said, like we don't believe that something of great quality can be actually built in India. And therefore, there is a lot of fastidious reaction towards a technology which comes your way. People are like, maybe we should wait for another 6 months and let's see others burn their hands. Experience selling outside India has been much more positive. And it doesn't matter who you're rubbing shoulders with. I mean, you know, are you competing with Bosch or are you competing with, you know, whosoever is concerned? The point is, if your product is good, it will sell.
We've got the last 5 minutes, so I want to spend a little bit of time to talk about the road ahead. And Shashi, you know, to have more Sedimax, more Tonbos, more thread soles, what needs to be done on the part of the private sector? What can be done on the part of the government? We've got the big Startup India policy that's been unveiled. Is there a role that the government can play? What role can the government play? What role should the government play? Very quickly.
For entrepreneurs, on a continual basis, to come out of the IITs, for example, you need to have a culture where you say that the labs in IIT actually are of consequence to the country.
Yeah.
Okay? No, as well as a belief in that as well. This is not lip service. It's fine to keep saying that, but to truly believe in it means that you are going to conduct your life very differently. The government is going to conduct its life very differently.
Absolutely.
So I think it's more of a mindset thing
Okay.
from the government side and more of willingness to buy from the private sector.
Okay.
side.
Arvind?
I think the mentality that, does someone buy from you, because you're Indian, or does he buy from you because you're low cost, or does he buy from you because you're the best at that price point? And I think every company needs to go, and any company, any startup who goes to sell to the government, the rationale has to be buy from me because I am the best. I am the best that exists in the space outside. If I'm not the best, don't buy from me. It doesn't make sense, right? Just don't buy because I'm tugging at your heartstrings, because I'm a poor entrepreneur and made in India, or because I am cheap, because that's what you expect, right? Saying it's India, so it's cheap. So that should be the motto. It should be the best, and that's the only way to make it succeed.
Manasij?
The long-term answer for me is, I don't see in India there's enough stress towards grassroots fundamental education for making the lives of science, agriculture, architecture better. I haven't seen that, and if I don't see that, till the time, with all due respect, sir, if we continue to invest in these extremely cream de la cream institutes with IITs and IIMs, that's going to produce only those many number of people who can run away to anywhere. Simply put, I could not qualify into IITs, but I'm still here, right? Let's just be very clear about this, that innovation is basically about education, its application, and its communication, right? So I need to see that there is more fundamental grassroots education for science, technology, architecture, and agriculture, which is not available to us extremely in high quality.
You can see the enthusiasm. You can see the design thinking approach that these entrepreneurs have executed as part of their businesses, and I hope some of you have been able to take some insights from them. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here this afternoon.
Thank you.